much for your time today. My name is Suchi Patel.
Hi everyone, my name is David Alexi.
Hi everybody, my name is Alvin Wong, and we're all first-year undergrads.
And we're here today to tell you how we built Sebra. Sebra rhymes with zebra, if that helps you remember it. So currently, the clinical trial space is very, very hard to enter by pharmaceutical companies, primarily because of three major hurdles. Recruitment hurdles being the first and primary, because 80% of trials fail to meet enrollment targets. When we look at this causes a huge financial burden on pharmaceutical companies, which de-incentivizes them from funding and putting in resources into rare diseases, despite the orphan drug and fast track designations that the FDA provides. Furthermore, because of the way rare diseases are sometimes can be so severe, it's very difficult for patients to travel around for specialized sites, and it's really hard to find those sites because, again, they're rare. For example, Hutchinson's disease targets around maybe 500 people in the United States, and trying to find 500 is trying to find a needle in a stack of hay. Secondarily, protocol and documentation delays. Everybody loves doing research about rare diseases, but there's so much paperwork involved. When you're conducting clinical trials, there's so much paperwork involved. If there's an adverse medical event, there's so much paperwork involved. And especially with the current regulatory landscape and the red taping in the healthcare industry as a whole, it's really hard for doctors to put in that time, especially with things like prior approval, right? And then lastly, patient engagement. There's so much, I guess, of a discord between patients and clinical trials and the communication between, because there's no readily available communication channels. We want to bring down this average dropout rate, which right now is at 30%. And then finally, we would like to touch upon that if we look at the clinical trials on rare diseases, most of them are in the US. Does that mean that they don't exist in third world countries? No, not at all. In fact, they exist there. Diseases like NOMA are changing the lives of little kids in sub-Saharan Africa. But we really wanted to focus on these three key issues as we built Sebra.
All right, so now let's take a look at how AI can help us. So here's the relevant literature. Imagine filling out a form. Most people, the incentive to fill out a form is very little, as there are so many different files and different text fields that you need to fill out in order to actually have a successful registration. In order to prevent this from happening, our AI documentation will be able to minimize tedious manual data entry that they had for up to 25%. Now, our machine learning algorithms also come through not only your medical records, but social media in order to identify patients who. And you might be wondering how this is done. Well, we're gonna all be registered in an email when you sign up for our registry, and hence the AI system will be able to go through your entire database in order to prevent you from filling out information yourself. Now, here we can also see a lot of different ways that NLP systems help with data analysis. So, as we can see, nearly doubles the yield of eligible patients, makes it much faster for determination, which helps with the clinical studies, and it prevents the time needed to process data from patients severely.
All right, and now let's talk a little bit about the cybersecurity aspect of our application. So in the process of building this centralized database, the main thing we had to keep in mind is remaining HIPAA compliant and making sure that everyone who uploads their medical records has that peace of mind that that information is secure. So what we did here is we implemented a tokenization system. So what it does is it basically obfuscates all the information that a patient puts in that they would want it kept private, and it matches that, and it only matches the relevant data to the clinical to the clinics that are conducting trials on their rare disease, and completely negating all other irrelevant information that the patient would want to keep private. And so
Okay, so from what we had prior, now in using Zebra's software platform to leverage machine learning to empower providers to connect patients with their clinical trials, we can see the vast amount of data that is projected to happen in order to increase the efficiency and effectiveness through recruitment. As we can see, trial recruitment duration is projected to become 15 to 20% faster. Again, if you want to know the specifics of how, please refer to our demo page. And patient enrollment boost, 20 to 30% increase, dropout rate, 15 to 25% reduction, and the rest of them you can also see for yourself.
Yeah, if you're curious to see where our demo's at, it's at tinyurl.com/Sebra 2025. That's zebra with an S. But before you dive into that, I just want to explain the significance of our project. As someone who is very passionate about biopharma and the clinical trial space, this, I believe, will make strides in the rare disease clinical trial space. We're very different, we're very unique. There's a lot of AI in clinical trial applications right now, but I think we're the only ones that are targeting rare diseases where it's needed especially. Because of our platform, we feel that researchers, and especially pharmaceutical companies, as I mentioned earlier, will be incentivized to actually research rare disease treatments because it'll be cheaper. I'm not saying a few bucks cheaper, but I mean like $600,000 cheaper, because that's how much every single day is lost within clinical trial de-optimization strategies. Because we're globally scalable, because we want to maintain geographical diversity and reduce bottlenecks, we really believe Sebra will make an impact. We want to empower faster funding pipelines, so we do that through a donation feature where you're allowed to, when you log in, you can donate towards a specific trial in Africa, because a lot of times that's not funded. And then we want to integrate with things like Epic, so everything's very streamlined. You're not changing what's already been built. We're just trying to make things more efficient, more better. And partial matching algorithms to ensure that the drug discovery space has a variety of people, especially if your doctor doesn't know you have a rare disease yet, they can still sign you up, and then the people that do know a lot about that rare disease will get in touch with you, and that way we're just optimizing, again, your healthcare outcomes. So we're really excited about building Sebra, and we look forward to seeing how we can build this ahead. If we have a few future improvements here, we want to expand it to things like Athena Health and other major EHR systems. We did follow, we touched upon some of the challenges with tokenization, but we were able to eventually overcome that using the help of our mentors. And then this is where we're headed, and we're super excited to be here today. Thank you.